So theoretically we should trust people to not murder each other, which is a mishpat. We don't rely on that. We make it into a chok, and we say if you do murder somebody, you're going to be murdered. You're going to be executed yourself. So everything which is a mishpat, even things which are mishpatim, sometimes we have to make them into chukim in order for them to work properly. Okay, so then the Gemara goes on. It says, Boy Yishayo came. Chazay Yishayo came. V'midon al shtayim. He basically said only two things here. Shimon mishva v'sud staka. In other words, he assumed Hatzneia Leches Milkecha is part of Mishpat and Staka. You don't need it as a separate principle because Mishpat and Staka requires Hatzneia Leches. If I don't do Hatzneia Leches, then it won't be Mishpat Staka. As there was a Rosh Yeshiva in the Mir Yeshiva in Brooklyn, Eli Yokansky. When he came to America, he said there was something which I didn't understand. He said in Europe, when people wore fur coats, they wore the fur on the inside to be warm, right? And like you ever see a sheepskin coat, right? The fur's on the inside, right? And when America, he came to America, he saw everybody wears the fur coats on the outside. With the fur on the outside. It didn't make any sense. So then he said, what? Doesn't it still help? Not the same. No. And he said, until I realized the reason why people were wearing fur coats is not to keep themselves warm, but to burn the other guy's eyes out. Because everybody's wearing their fur coats for the other person to be jealous of them. So that is this is the idea of in order to have mishpat tzedakah chesed, you have to have Hatzneia Leches, otherwise all society becomes imbalanced. Okay, then finally the last one is Amos v'midon al Echos. Actually, no, there are two of them. Amos came and said there's only one principle. He said, "Shneimar Kol Amar Hashem Beis Yisrael, Dirshuni b'chiyu, seek me and live." Maskil Rav Nachman Yisrael. Rav Nachman said, "What do you mean? How do you know it means just to only seek me is what you need? Maybe they'll wait to seek Hashem through the entire Torah. So it's not going to help. It's not just one principle. It's really all of them." So then they said, no, rather Chabakuk came. Chabakuk v'midon ha'achas. There's one principle. Emunah is the entire basis of the world. Now it's interesting because Emunah, Mishpat, Chesed, Hatzneia Leches, they seem like a ben Odom Chaveiro. And Emunah seems to be a ben Odom Makkos. So it seems like we're switching gears. But in reality, it's not like that. The Emunah in Hashem means that you believe not just that there is a God, but you believe that God has a master plan for the world. That the world was given a destiny and a purpose. And the destiny and purpose which HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the world is one which is based on Chesed. Like David HaMelech said, Ki amarti olam Chesed yiboneh. If you don't believe that God is a God of Chesed, and that Hashem wants us to be Baalei Chesed as well, then there's something lacking in your Emunah. And it's an important point that the Chazon Ish made. Chazon Ish said, people think that Emunah just means, I say the Ani Maamins. I say, I believe that there's a God. He says that's not true Emunah. That Emunah is something which is it's a midah, meaning that it's a measure. Just like you have some people who are bigger Baalei Midos and lesser Baalei Midos. So to Emunah, there are people who have greater Emunah and people who have less Emunah. It says a person who has true Emunah, it has to be reflected in what they do. In other words, if you say you have tremendous, the example he gives is Emunah and Bitachon are two sides of the same coin. So a person that's true Emunah, they should have true Bitachon. What does true Bitachon mean? True Bitachon means, well, if I rely on Kodesh Baruch Hu, it means that, gives an example, he says, the halacha is, if I have a yeshiva, and you want to open a yeshiva next door to me, so you're allowed to, because Kinas Seif Tarba Chachma. If in commercial competition in halacha, if I have a pizza store, you can't open a pizza store next to me. Okay. Nowadays in capitalist societies it doesn't work, but theoretically, the rabbis are not supposed to allow you to open a pizza store next to my pizza store, but the rabbis must allow you to open a yeshiva next to my yeshiva.
All yeshivas are different.
Well, all yeshivas are different, and not only that, the competition between yeshivas will make each yeshiva better. That's the assumption. That's true in capitalism, right? Nowadays we assume that pizza store number 1 is only going to be good if it has to compete with pizza store number 2.
Yeah.
There's something wrong in that. Chazal did not like that approach.
Why?
Because pizza store number one, again, getting back to the Chok of Mishpat, pizza store number one should make better pizza because it needs to make better pizza. Because it wants to be the best possible pizza. Not because it has to compete with pizza store number two.
People don't do that, though.
People don't do that, that's right. Capitalism is not based on it.
But
Yes.
why is the yeshiva different?
Because yeshiva, everybody, like you said, who said every yeshiva is different? Every yeshiva is different. You might be able to learn Torah from one Rebbe. He might only be able to learn Torah from another Rebbe. You might like one style. He might like another style. He might be able to make his yeshiva better if he sees that your yeshiva has a different derech, which he also should incorporate. So Chazal say that there's no such thing as commercial limitations in starting yeshivas. But Chazal says, but we see that's not true. People all the time protest. They go to Dinei Torah. If somebody opens a yeshiva down the street from another yeshiva, they're going to be tremendously angry and tremendously upset. And they're going to do all sorts of things in order to try and get that other yeshiva to close or to close it down. So he says, if you really believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with true emunah, with profound and strong emunah, then your bitachon would be strong. And you trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that if the Torah says, I'm allowed to open a yeshiva next to yours, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants this to happen, and therefore I should trust that this is part and parcel of the master plan.
Maybe you need to make a living out of that.
So if a person is true bitachon, they trust that this is the halacha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give them a living in some appropriate way, even though there's another yeshiva next door. People don't have, I'm not saying any of us have that level of bitachon, but the Chazal is pointing out that people claim all the time to be bali bitachon until push comes to shove, and then they show they have no bitachon whatsoever. Because in reality, it's easy to be a bali bitachon when your bitachon is not tested. It's easy to say I have emunah when my emunah is not tested. But emunah, which is just a statement, is meaningless. Emunah has to be a way of life. Persons go through life with emunah, and that's why emunah is called emunah. Where does emunah come from? It comes from the word omein. What does omein mean? A craftsman. Somebody is uman is a craftsman. Umnus is a craft or a profession. Emunah is supposed to be our craft, our profession. We're supposed to go through life trying to get more adept, more skilled, more proficient, and grow in our emunah HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So again, there are many levels of emunah. First of all, the Rambam says there's a level of emunah which he calls emunah's nashim. He says women believe anything. So therefore, they're gullible. They'll believe anything. So therefore,
Do you tell that to women?
I tell it to women, yes, just to get the reaction. What?
A whole sefer that women don't know anything.
No, Ram just no. So the line of the Rambam says emunah's nashim is not true emunah. Because yes, a woman believes in God because she believes in God. She doesn't have any basis for that.
So women can't.
That's not true nowadays. It's once about the Rambam's time.
It was true in the Rambam's time.
They didn't have
Does that mean that women never could get schar for emunah?
Right. The Rambam held they didn't get schar for emunah. Okay. So the Rambam holds that once emunah has to be thoughtful, has to be based. The Rambam's lashon, in fact, when he talks about mitzvah emunah, is leida, to know sheyesh Shem Eloka. To know it means that you think about it, you contemplate it, and it comes to the recognition based on logic and based on your understanding. Hasidim hold that emunah should never be based on logic. They hold that emunah, which is based on logic, is bad. Why is that? Because there's in between Hasidim and Misnagdim, which in the basic approach towards Judaism. Hasidim believe that the main purpose which you have in life is to be davik in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to cling to Hashem, to love God and have an emotional connection to Him. Misnagdim believe that the main purpose of life is shlemus, to perfect yourself as much as you possibly can, to be all you can be, to be as great as you can be. So this is a very basic difference in attitude. And there are many sub-schools. But generally speaking, if I want to be davik in somebody, that means I want to have a deep emotional relationship with them. A husband and wife, their relationship is not based on logic. The moment of a spouse starts enumerating, okay, my wife has this advantage, this disadvantage, this thing she's good at, this thing she's bad at, that's trouble. That means a relationship is based on what they say in English, called English chemistry. And chemistry is something which in Hebrew is called chen. It cannot be defined in specific measured terms. And therefore they believe, if I believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because I came to a logical conclusion that there's a God, so that there's no tzveikus there. It's not an emotional relationship. It's a cold intellectual relationship.
So,
Misnagdim believe the opposite. Misnagdim believe you should always start from reason and then progress to emotion. Okay, so you see the difference between approaches? No. Does anybody see the difference between them?
yeah.
Yes. So the Chesed believes the way to come to Emunah is by singing, by dancing, by davening with tremendous kavanah, and sometimes by drinking a bit, because drinking helps enhance the emotions of a person.
Wait, does that mean if someone, according to the first one, that believe that you're not supposed to come through it through a logical, so according to them, if someone discovers Hashem because he's a scientist and realizes this can't be by itself,
He's
not a real.
No, that's not real Emunah. That's a start, but it's certainly nowhere.
So we wouldn't get you and if he becomes.
You can still. It's a basic level. Again, according to Rambam, according to the Chesidim, it's almost as bad as Emunah's Nashim. It's not thought out at all. On the contrary, so they call that Emunah. The Hasidim. I don't have time really to get into this, so but I'm going to leave you this thought for now. Hasidim believe in Emunah Pshuta. That's what they call it. Emunah Pshuta means Emunah based on a relationship, not based on logic. It's not them believe mostly in Emunah, which is based on seichel, on reason. There are major ramifications of that difference, but I'm planning on giving the 8th graders before the end of the year a handout which on this, which I'm not going to grade, but I'd like you to read if you get a chance, and maybe with the younger grades, we'll get to it sometime in the next couple of years. Okay, have a good afternoon.
You're there. Have a good day.
We get to leave, right?
Oh, we go home early.